Holy technical difficulties, Travis Gafford retirements, streaming from new locations, and no mic for Nox War. This is Fight Check, Season 5, Episode 20, Scuffed 3. LTA is back, FlyQuest is back, and Flight Check is so back.
Oh yeah.
More stuff, we are more problems, more retirements, more everything. We've got it for you right here, right now. What an absolutely wild moment in time it has been. I moved in the last 2 weeks. This is literally, I turned my computer on for the first time in 2 weeks, 35 minutes ago. And that was after scrambling to find the power cable for the computer tower itself. I had all the other cables. Everything was plugged in. Monitors, mouse, keyboard. Actually, the only thing not plugged in is my speakers, but I got the headphones on tonight. And I just didn't have the power cable. Couldn't find it. For some reason, I did not pack it in the box with all of the other cables. Why would I do that? I don't know. But thankfully, I do have two people who might be able to interpret my madness and translate it to a willing audience. My name, as always, is Sandy Toes, to my left and my other left, Noxwar and Curly Double Q. Fellas, oh man, nice to be back here once again. Nox, some USB connectivity issues for your ThinkPad tonight?
Unfortunately, yep. I don't know what the deal is, but we'll get it figured out by next week.
You can hear it.
Classic.
You can hear it on his mic. Curly, rocking the jers, looking good. And
yes, sir.
You know, I don't even know where to start. I did not watch the FlyQuest versus Disguised match this week. From what I understand, I don't need to go back and watch the FlyQuest Disguised match from this weekend. Nox, I understand you watched the highlights, and Curly, I understand you watched Game 1 and struggled to stay awake during Game 2.
Absolutely.
So I think where we're going to start is, are either of you surprised at all that it was a complete 2-0 shellacking by the top 4 teams against the bottom 4? Is this any surprise?
Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. I mean, like, the only reason I didn't get a full 8 points was because I don't know which series, but I didn't predict 2-0. I predicted a 2-1.
Yeah, and I know I predicted TL 2-1, so that's where I failed.
I think that was the one.
Yeah, you both predicted 2-1s for TL over 100 Thieves, in which case, if I'm being honest, that first 100 Thieves game should have been a victory for them, but then they just massively threw it. So I don't think you guys were very far off, including myself, from having that prediction right. I goofed a little bit because I thought Dignitas would at least be able to take a game off of Shopify, but that was just straight up a 2-0.
You were thinking
that's a bad call there.
One Shopify, not split 2 playoffs Shopify.
Yep. So it's fine. Still got 6 points for the week. Got plenty of time to catch up on the pick'ems. We're still doing okay. We still had a decent score.
Several weeks available to us. I am being told I'm quiet, so I'm gonna up my gain a little bit while we keep chit-chatting. Ooh, I can hear myself a lot better now.
You activated like full HD audio mode there, dude.
Oh, did I really?
You switched up entirely.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Good to know.
I think I'm in the room with you right now. Like, maybe?
The Discord call is coming from inside the house. Yeah, not a surprising weekend, really, at all. And the matchups, I think, this week, I don't know if they're getting any better, frankly. What do you guys think? I'm pulling them up right now. But we play 100 Thieves, for example. I believe... Who took Cloud9?
Dignitas.
Dignitas took Cloud9, which I think could be interesting. Lions against Team Liquid, and then it's going to be Disguised versus Shopify. So, like, some interesting matchups here. I think particularly I'll be intrigued to see Lion versus TL if Zamudo is playing. And I'll certainly be interested to see Disguised versus Shopify, especially if Disguised, has a little bit more time to practice and whatnot. But this format is certainly, I am whelmed currently. I think this would have been a much more interesting format if there wasn't such a huge gap between the top 4 and bottom 4 teams. And it's so interesting now to say top 4 and bottom 4, and I'm saying Shopify as top 4 and 100 Thieves as bottom 4. Like, I wonder, Nox, I'm going to ask you first, and then Curly, I want you afterwards. Is it still top 4, bottom 4, or is there like this weird Shopify TL 100 Thieves soup in that 3 to 5 spot? How are you guys feeling about that?
I don't think I would include TL in that. I think TL has kind of reinserted themselves back into the top 3 conversation. I think actually they're solidly third. I don't think they're better than Cloud9 or FlyQuest, obviously, but I think they've solidified their spot in third. I think the real thing you need to watch out for is 100 Thieves versus Shopify. I think that's the real fight for 4th place. And that's kind of where I actually have the most interest in for the time being, outside of any like top 3 matchups. That's kind of what I'm eyeballing right now, I think, in terms of the soup, so to speak.
Right. Curly, how about you? Top 4 versus bottom 4. Is there like a middle of the pack? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I have to agree with Nox for the most part. I do think Team Liquid's come back and like really asserted themselves. Like, hey, we're going to take this seriously. We've taken our time off. We've grown, so we're actually going to try to be competitive this split. I don't really see 100 Thieves having much motivation to try and get into that top 4.
Motivation's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing, right? Because they know this is the last hurrah, their last split. And so it's either, when you have something like that, you either tend to go about it 2 ways. You put all your efforts so you leave nothing left on the table, or you think about what you're going to do next. And I've heard rumors that it's a little bit more of that second one right now, but I'm not in the scene, so I don't know if that's actually true. But I'm just worried that the fall off that they kind of had over split 2 is not something they've even been able to overcome aside from that. So it's difficult for me to try to put them in contention for that top 4. I think of the teams in the bottom 4, they're the ones that definitely have the honest to God best chance. But they really need to get it together in these next couple of weeks, because then it goes, after this week, it's one more week of the pick and play, and then it's into elimination. And then at any moment, your split, your year, your season can be over. And so it's going to get real tough for them from then. And that actually has me hesitant, or not hesitant, but like approaching this matchup very interestingly that we're about to have against them, because depending on how the cards fall, this could be our last match against 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Which in the grand scheme of League of Legends, maybe not the biggest relationship, but for us, because of 100 Talk, who are good friends of us, like when we were getting started on this space and the history we have with them and all the friends that we have that are 100 Thieves fans, it's like, it's hard to imagine that this might be the last time we are able to have that rivalry.
Yeah, Nox, I mean, that's something that we've not had a chance to talk about really at all, is 100 Thieves has officially announced that they'll be departing from the league after this season. I think for me, I'm not really shocked at this news. Like, I think
No, I'm not either.
The writing was clearly on the wall. Frankly, I almost wish that this had happened last season, that a buyer had shown up and things had worked out, so that we could have just gotten it over with and, pulled the plug and gotten a new team in the space.
Rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, just rip the Band-Aid off instead of, like, eking out one more year. I think, Curly, to your point about the the players and potential motivation, I think I do agree with you that there are two paths. Like, one, yeah, you could be a little less motivated. Things could be lackluster because, like, okay, well, what are we even fighting for? Our team's going away, like, blah blah blah, all this. I mean, on the other hand, like, I would be in a position where I'm like, new team's gonna come in, they're gonna assume the 100 Thieves roster, most likely, or at least talk with all those players because they'll be right there and available. So I'd better, like, put up some good numbers so that I still have a job in 2026 and that they're not looking elsewhere. I mean, I think a lot of the players on that roster are not going to have a problem finding a job. FBI, Ayla, Quid, even Sniper, I don't think is going to have a problem finding a job in the league. River, I think, has military service. Yeah, so he's unfortunately will be saying goodbye to him. But I think the other 4 players have a place in this league, but if they don't show it, I think that could be a problem. Knox, like, how do you feel about, like, just your thoughts on 100 Thieves departing, what that might do for these players and how they perform? I mean, I don't think, from my understanding, like, it probably doesn't change their calculus. They still want to win. They still want to try to go to Worlds. I don't see that changing for them.
No, I mean, I don't really see it changing anything. If anything, I would imagine it's, especially for River, it's his last hurrah. He's going to be trying even harder. That the org is ending. It's his last shot at going back to the international stage. I would imagine that if River's going to show off his stuff, it's going to be this split. He's going to have one of his best splits this split. So that's kind of what I'm expecting from him personally. The rest of the guys, I would imagine they're still going to try their best. It's not like just because the org is disappearing that the team doesn't want to try any harder than they already are, right? Like, and as you were saying earlier, they need to show to potential scouts and other orgs that, like, hey man, I do have a place in the league. I can hold my ground. I am someone that's worthy of being picked up. So yeah, I really expect this 100 Thieves team still to be competitive. I don't expect them to have a sudden drop off just due to outside forces. Yeah.
All right, so let's look back. Like I said, I did not watch. I was busy cleaning out our old apartment on Saturday, so I missed the match. Knox, I know you caught highlights. Curly, I know you watched most of the game. I think the storyline, the big storyline to talk about is something that I think, Knox, you and I discussed on a previous episode, I think when Curly was out, which was they did, in fact, after Bwipo did his thing in Game 1, they brought in Gakagos for Game 2. I need the scouting report. How did we feel? What were the takeaways? Was this feels like, to me, this was something I was arguing for, is, this was the right time, the perfect team to put Gakagos in against, was Disguised, give him a comfortable team to get some good stage reps on, and show what he can do. Do you guys feel like he met that mark? Did he step up to the plate and show what he can do, or is the jury still out a little bit?
So the first thing I do want to say is I think you and I, and how we predicted how it should go, it went exactly to plan. I think FlyQuest
all according to Keikaku.
All according to Keikaku. Yeah, FlyQuest did this exactly how I would have wanted them to do it. It's a Game 2 scenario. There's no pressure on Gakagos. The team is like looking like they're running on full cylinders. Like, it should be maximum comfortability, and there's no worries about dropping the game, because then you can put Bwipo back in for Game 3, and they could probably still run it. It's fine. So props to FlyQuest, exactly how I wanted them to do it. In regards to Gakagos himself, I think he came out and he was really trying to toe the line on how to play the lane versus Castle. And I'm going to be honest, unfortunately, he went 0-2 and toeing the line. He went too far, and he got hit. Straight up. And this is not any, like, it is a mark against him in a sense, but also it's not as bad as a mark as some people may think, because I personally still have a lot of respect for Castle. I think Castle is a really, really good top laner still, even if he's on a really garbage team. So for me, like, I think I mentioned this in the episode previously with you, Sandy, but I think Castle is the benchmark top laner that you need to beat to show that you are worthy of being a staple top laner in LTA. So right now, I would say that's not Gakagos' position, but that's fine. This is getting him experience. He's not going to be taking the starting position just yet. You're feeding him little games here and there. You're giving him some scrim time. You're helping him pick up and learn from Inspired and Whippo, and like he's really going to help him develop, and he's going to grow a lot in the coming days and weeks, even, right?
Yeah.
So what eventually I would like to see, schedule permitting, and there's nothing too crazy going on, you maybe squeeze another 2 or 3 stage games in for him. You give him some more scrim time, and then we can go take a peek at him again in 2026. I'm not expecting him to have the starting position anytime soon. This is not a full 6-man roster in the sense of what 6-man rosters are called as nowadays. This is hey, we are helping this guy develop for future play. And that's fine. I'm holistically fine with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he got here like 2-3 weeks ago, right? He's been here a very, very short time. He's had all of 2-3 weeks to scrim with the team. Like, he's inserting into a team that has a very established play style, very established comms. Like, I'm not shocked whatsoever that he, got hit, a little bit in his first, on stage action. That's not surprising whatsoever. I think the real test will be, like, how does he bounce back? Like, can he show up and show out, maybe against some weaker top laners in the league? Curly, how about you? What were your... because you weren't there for our initial conversation on what to do with Gakos. So how do you feel about this sub-in for Game 2 plan? And B, what were your takeaways from Gakos' performance?
I mean, I think the second game sub-in is definitely a great call because it's like, number one, especially if you win the first game, that means you've got a safety net. It truly does not, in the grand scheme of things, matter what happens here. So there's not as much pressure if things go awry. But then on top of that, it immediately, right off the bat, kind of shows the difference in the champion pools. I know Papa talked about it on stream where it's like the Venn diagram of Bwipo and Gakos's champion pools is practically 2 circles. Like there's not overlap at all for their best champions and like the good tier champions. So that means that we are maximizing the champion pool option of having 6 players on the roster and 2 in the 1 role. So that's something I like to see. And then most importantly is it didn't feel like the team had to switch up terribly from their play style. It seems like they're bringing Gakos into their general game plans and able to incorporate him well. And even though, like Nox said, he towed the line a bit too far and died a couple times in lanes, he didn't let himself become obsolete in the game. He was still relevant. At the end of the game, you still see like he was up in gold, up in CS, stayed, like was at fights and everything. So like he still made sure he was part of the game and important, even with a relatively rough start. So it seems to me like he's really going to be able to get into this team and really develop. And then especially like the format of this split, I think is like the perfect format for a player to prove themselves in the LCS with a little bit of a safety net, because the worst teams are picking from the better teams. So because of the amount of disparity right now in the league, that practically guarantees these first 3 weeks, any game you're getting is like you can have confidence that at the very least your team should objectively be better. So you just need to make sure you are upholding your weight. It's not like if being one of the new players on Disguised or Dignitas or anything where regardless of your skill level, it's like you've got a lot to work up towards.
No,
so I think it's really good for his development.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was an important marker. I'm glad that he got the stage time. But, this was week 1. Easy week, light work. No disrespect towards Disguised, but frankly, I don't know if they'll be back in the league. So, like, this was an expected 2-0, and I'm glad it happened. All right, let's move forward. 100 Thieves up next. Are you guys, like, surprised that they... Well, okay, I don't actually know what the order was for teams getting to pick. I assume Disguised got to pick
Yeah,
first.
DSG was first. Yeah.
And then it would have been Lion second.
Yep, and then Dignitas, and then 100 Thieves.
So 100 Thieves got left.
So 100
with
Thieves
us,
didn't
basically.
get...
Yeah, so they didn't get to pick. So, I mean, I guess that's not too surprising then. No one wants to play us. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're Dig and you have to pick between Cloud9 and FlyQuest, you're probably picking Cloud9.
What?
Yeah, crazy. Yeah, so not surprising that Disguised pick Shopify there. I don't know. I feel like this is just going to be another, like, top half balls out kind of week. Liquid beats Lion. Shopify beats Disguise. Cloud9 beats Dig. We beat 100 Thieves. Like, we've had 4 2-0s. What percentage chance?
It might be 8 2-0s. I'm not
What
gonna
percentage
lie.
I think
chance
it's going to
would
be
you
another.
guys- would you guys give it being another 4 2-0s?
70.
I'm
gonna
giving
go
85.
85. Wow.
85.
I was gonna go 60. I'm
Okay.
thinking 60.
Okay.
60?
Okay.
Okay.
So here's the question then. This is the question for you guys. Which team that is currently 0-1 will grab a game? Or teams? Or teams?
I think, in my opinion, it's 100 Thieves.
Okay.
I think they may take a game off of us, especially if we're like giving Gakagos another attempt at like getting some stage experience.
I see. So if we put in Gakos for game 2, you think it could be a 2-1 for FlyQuest?
That's kind of the angle that I'm looking at. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Curly, your thoughts on that?
It is weird to say, but I do have to agree with that. I think of the matchups, we're the only ones that would have a potential vulnerability in the Gakos match if we have it happen. Because everyone else, it's like, I'm not really seeing anything from Lion, Dignitas, or Disguise that make me think they're going to be able to overcome their opponents, really. Personally, like, my harsh take is I don't think any of their roster moves are really relevant for them and probably hurt them more than they helped whatever pain points they were addressing. So until they start scrapping against each other, I'm not really expecting much from them.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
But
that'll be the interesting part, right? When the bottom 4 teams are playing each other in best of 5s. God, sign me up for the Lion Disguised best of 5.
I cannot wait for Stoppable Force versus Movable Object.
Oh my God, sign me up for that best of 5. Even the Dignitas, like, 100 Thieves one is going to be good, in my opinion. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just going to be bangers all the way through. Nox, right now as it stands, are you planning on predicting 4 2-0s across the board?
Yeah, I think I regret not doing it this past
Me
weekend.
too.
I'm doing it
so much.
I've already submitted them, dude.
I can't believe I thought 100 Thieves would take a game off of TL. Oh my gosh, what was I doing with my life? Oh, I know, moving. And I was so busy Saturday, I forgot to do fantasy. That's how busy I was, which absolutely kills me.
way.
Yeah, man.
I also forgot to do fantasy. So, in fact, one of y'all do me a favor and ping me before Friday to do.
I'm pulling up the site. Isn't the whole thing now? And I know we're way off topic. The whole thing is that if you miss a week, like there's like a whole catch up deal or something, right?
I hope so.
Am I getting that right?
I don't know. All I know is I definitely got the team diversity buff because I got
one.
Yes,
one player from each team. What bonus points does that give you?
I don't remember. All I know is it got me one, and it was really the only team I could afford.
Well, there you
because
go.
I dropped everything on Bwippo. Because holy shit, man, 18 points.
Yeah,
it's killer.
Yeah, I'm looking.
Killer.
The market opens in 21 hours, so I cannot make my picks just yet, but I will plan on doing that eventually. All right. So we've got 4 2-0s. I do want to get y'all's takes. This is probably going to be the last conversation, and then we'll close out. Short show tonight. Not a lot to talk about.
Yeah. Quick flyby.
Yeah, flyby. Travis Gafford today announced he is stepping away from basically content creation, like on the regular side. He is basically stepping away from LOL esports content creation. He put out a 20-minute video. I recommend watching it because it does dispel, even in the video he says like, well, if you want to know why I'm doing this, you can go to the Reddit comments or you can go to the YouTube comments and you'll find people who will tell you why I am doing this. But if you really want to know, stick around and I'll tell you. And he lists a few reasons. He talks about like his personal health, that he's got like a lot of friends and I think family as well that he hasn't seen for years, who have all moved to different parts of the world. He's very burned out on social media. He also says that he would be lying if the financial aspect of esports didn't play a part in it as well, and that the sponsorships just aren't necessarily there like they used to be. So I just want to get y'all's takes on, because I have a take about like Travis and what he's meant to the scene and to me personally. But I did just want to get y'all's thoughts on, this is a guy who, has been with North American LCS and LTA basically from the beginning, got double lift off the street and all that. And like what it means, like what it says to you guys that, now halfway through the 2025 season, he's stepping away from content creation and moving away from like esports content creation entirely. I think he's still planning on doing some Riftbound and Magic the Gathering stuff, maybe more like events focused stuff rather than videos. But yeah, just want to get y'all's thoughts on it first. Knox maybe first, then Curly, then I'll close it out.
I mean, he's one of the OGs, right? Like he's been around forever. He's always been someone in the scene. He, as you said, got Doublelift brought in, and well, not brought in. He was always in the scene, but made sure Doublelift could stay involved in the scene, regardless of your thoughts on Doublelift. I mean, he's one of the best AD carries North America's ever had, right? And so he's had his impact on the scene in more ways than you can count. So to see him go is admittedly a little bit sad, and part of it is also like you can kind of eyeball like, hey, here are the reasons why the scene's not doing so hot. The same level of energy as it was a decade ago is not quite there. But at the same time, you have to consider like Travis is like what, late 30s at this point?
He's
like,
36. He said in his video.
Yeah. So I mean, it is understandable. I mean, I completely understand not wanting to continue to cover League this whole time. There may be other interests in your life, as you like he's wanted to do Riftbound stuff or other Riot related things. And I mean, shit, man. I've been playing and following the scene since season 2, and it's season 15 now. It's been 13 years. I understand the burnout and wanting to go do something else, man. I completely get it. So, yeah, it's sad at the end of the day. I actually legitimately do hope he comes back at some point, maybe if the league is doing better. But at the end of the day, if it's time to go, it's time to go, and I wish him all the best, and I'm sure I'll still see plenty of his content because I'll be keeping an eye out for Riftbound. But yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. He's done a lot for the scene.
Curly, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around the whole time before I got into everything, and he was like one of the first names that I heard as I was getting into LCS and everything. He's kind of just been a flagship for North American esports developing communities. The whole Doublelift thing that I only learned about today, which is huge, being able to directly support a pro, who a lot of people champion as like one of the goats of this scene. Clearly he invested a lot of time into this. So even if he wasn't someone that really fell into my interests of watching League or League related content, it would be a disservice to like say he didn't do anything. So on the flip side, that also gives me an interesting note for where we're at esports, at least in North America, where it's like we are kind of in a tight spot where someone who has dedicated so much decides they need to walk away for financial reasons, for community reasons. And so I am thankful for the impact that he was able to have on the scene. And I hope that maybe in the future we can kind of have something like that again, and that we can kind of turn around from this downward trend that the scene seems to be going in. Because it's a really cool space. And the fact that we're losing orgs and personalities and stuff like this year after year is a little sad. And so I would just like to see that turn around.
Yeah, I think like I have not missed a single Hotline League episode. I used to try to watch live as much as possible with just life, and needing to take care of myself. I can't stay up till midnight, or 12:30 in the morning on the East Coast and watch live. So usually I listen to the podcast the day after or on Wednesday. And so like that's been a huge part of my week every week, has been listening to Hotline League, listening to the community takes. I think that's like one of the greatest things the scene has ever had, is like a way for the community to have their voices heard, even if it was the most like crazy batshit insane stuff you've heard. Travis would talk about it. And sometimes, and oftentimes people would also have really good takes. And, you got to hear, real thoughts. He had a lot of great guests. Mark was awesome as a host for a long time. Cubby, I thought, did a great job filling in Mark's shoes for the last year or so. I think for me, like, Travis's content, like his interviews, Hotline League, all that stuff, like, it's kept me engaged in the scene when like few other things did. Like, it always kept me in tune with like what was going on. Frankly, I'm concerned now that I won't have that, and like I don't go on the League of Legends subreddit anymore. Like I used to like religiously like go read the post-match threads all the time. I don't do that. Like, literally, I'm in a couple Discords. I do this. Hotline League and The Dive are like my sources for. I guess I could start listening to Pros. That's probably a good way to do it. But like,
Pros is very insightful.
Yeah, Pros is very insightful. And yeah, maybe I'll sub in Pros for Hotline League, but there's not going to be a replacement for it. Yeah, it's just I understand why, but it was just like one of those things where I saw I was at a stoplight, I saw the tweet, I read it, started watching the video, and just like this immense sadness came over me. I think for me it was kind of like another childhood memory you just like discarded upon the wind, and it was real tough. So obviously wish him the best. I hope that this sabbatical is good for him. I hope that Riftbound blows up. Take me with it, please. And we'll see how it goes. All right, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it tonight, I believe. Final notes, shoutouts, and plugs around. Actually, hang on, I gotta do the other thing. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. We play 100 Thieves this weekend at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday. You can catch the show on Twitter/X for all the reactions and thoughts. Catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Nox at Noxwar with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_WQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well. All kinds of esports discussion and otherwise taking place in there. If you missed any part of the episode, the VOD's going to be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. If you're watching that and want to catch the show live, you are in luck. We broadcast the episode usually every Monday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. I'm going to ask Nox to do shoutouts and plugs first, then Curly, while I desperately run and grab a glass of water, because I am dying right now.
Well, I guess let me try and drag this out as long as possible. Shout out to... I don't know, who do I want to shout out? Oh, shout out to Andor. I'm like 80% of the way through Andor Season 2, and this has been just some banger television, man. It is far and away some of the best Star Wars content I've ever watched. So highly, highly recommend checking out Andor if you haven't seen Andor yet. What else do I want to go see Superman. I want to go see Police Squad. I want to go see... There's a bunch of stuff coming out. What's another one, Curly?
I don't know. Well, I know Fantastic Four.
Yes, that's the other one. I want to go see Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four looks fun as well. It's
heard good things.
It's a summertime movie and TV, baby. It's coming along pretty nicely.
It is coming along. Yeah, no, my shout out was going to be the Superman movie. I saw it while I was on my vacation with a couple of friends, and it was like the first time in a while where I saw, because superhero movies are good, but we've been over flooded with them, and they've just gone a certain direction. Like the Zack Snyder DC universe, bad through and through. I will not hold back any criticism of that. Okay, whatever you want to say. Bad through and through. A little bit too edgy. I almost cut myself. But and that's because I tripped over because I couldn't see anything because the screen was too dark and there was a knife on the ground. Anyway, but no, the Superman movie, it was actually really, really, it is a Superman movie. It is what you think superheroes are meant to be, and I loved it through and through. And it was really, really, really fun. And Nathan Fillion makes a great Guy Gardner. And yeah, it just, oh my gosh, fantastic movie. And on the flip side, I hope the Fantastic Four movie is just as good. I want to see that in the coming weeks because I've heard just as good things. Superhero movies making a little bit of a revival. I say that like they've been dead, but they've not been dead. They've just been over. You know what I mean? They're going back to what they should be.
Right. My shout out is going to be... I don't know. I don't have anything. My shout out is going to be to my computer for being easy to plug things into when I was scrambling to plug everything into my computer 10 minutes before the show. Shout out to that. All right. Woo! We'll be back next week to discuss FlyQuest versus 100 Thieves, how that goes. But for now, I'll ask you to stay safe out there and bite your teeth. Do not forget to hit the head on the nail. And we will see you all very, very soon. Adios, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.